Yes. Okay. So this is Nisargadatta, and he's talking to one of the questioners. So the questioner says to him, there must be a way to quiet the mind. How often I tell myself, enough, please stop. Enough of this endless chatter of sentences repeated round and round. But my mind would not stop. I feel that one can stop for a while, but not for long. Even the so-called spiritual people use tricks to keep their mind quiet. They repeat formulas, they sing, they pray, they breathe forcefully or gently. They shake, they rotate, concentrate, meditate, chase trances, cultivate virtues, working all the time in order to cease chasing and cease moving. Were it not so tragic, it would be ridiculous. Nisargadatta. The mind exists in two states, as water and as honey. The water vibrates at the least disturbance, while the honey, however disturbed, returns quickly to immobility. The questioner, by its very nature, the mind is restless. It can perhaps be made quiet, but it is not quiet by itself. Nisargadatta. It is desires and fears that make the mind restless. Free from all negative emotions, it is quiet. I'm going to repeat that. It is desires and fears that make the mind restless. Free from all negative emotions, it is quiet. Questioner. You cannot protect the child from negative emotions. As soon as it is born, it learns pain and fear. Hunger is a cruel master and teaches dependence and hate. The child loves the mother because she feeds it and hates her because she's late with food. Excuse me. Our unconscious mind is full of conflicts, which overflow into the conscious. If we live on a volcano, we are always in danger. I agree that the company of people whose mind is peaceful has a very soothing effect. But as soon as I am away from them, the old trouble starts. Nisargadatta. I am where desire and fear are not. Now, what is your experience? Do you also feel that you stand totally aloof from all transient things? So I think this is important because clearly desire and fear are transient things. They are basically thoughts. Excuse me, I think I'm going to have to ask everybody to mute because I'm hearing background. Thank you. So desires and fears are transient things. They are thoughts, which are things. And it's true. It's true that when there is desire, images appear based on that desire. Those images are thoughts, basically. Those images which are thoughts stemming from desire reinforce this me. And as long as there is this me, there cannot be the absolute. So he says to him, do you also feel that you stand totally aloof from all transient things? Yes, I do, occasionally. But at once a sense of danger sets in. I feel isolated, outside all relationship with others. This is the questioner. You see, with the Hindu, the emotion follows the thought. Give a Hindu an idea and his emotions are aroused. With the Westerner, it is the opposite. Give him an emotion and he'll produce an idea. Your ideas are very attractive intellectually, but emotionally, I do not respond. Nisargadatta, set your intellect aside. Don't use it in these matters. Questioner, of what use is an advice which I cannot carry out? These are all ideas, and you want me to respond feelingly to ideas. For without feelings, there can be no action. Nisargadatta, why do you talk of action? Are you acting ever? Some unknown power acts, and you imagine that you are acting. You are merely watching what happens without being able to influence it in any way. You are merely watching what happens without being able to influence it in any way. Questioner, well, why is there such a tremendous resistance in me against accepting that I can do nothing? But what can you do? Nisargadatta says. You are like a patient under anesthetics on whom a surgeon performs an operation. When you wake up, you find the operation over. Can you say you've done something? Questioner, but it is me who has chosen to submit to an operation. Oh, Nisargadatta, certainly not. It is your illness on one side and the pressure of your physician and family on the other that have made you decide. You have no choice, only the illusion of it. Questioner, yet I feel I'm not as helpless as you make me appear. I feel I can do everything that I can think of, only I don't know how. It is not the power I lack, but the knowledge. Nisargadatta, not knowing the means is admittedly as bad as not having the power. But let us drop the subject for a moment. After all, it's not important why we feel helpless, as long as we see clearly that for the time being, we are helpless. I am 74 years old, Nisargadatta speaking, and yet I feel that I am an infant. I feel clearly that in spite of all the changes, I am a child. My guru told me that child, which is you even now, is your real self. Go back to that state of pure being, where the I am is still in its purity before it got contaminated with this I am or that I am. Your burden is of false self-identifications. Abandon them all. My guru told me, trust me, I tell you, you are divine. Take it as the absolute truth. Your joy is divine. Your suffering is divine too. All comes from God. Remember it always. You are God. Your will alone is done. I did believe him, and soon realized how wonderfully true and accurate were his words. I did not condition my mind by thinking, I am God, I am wonderful, I am beyond. I simply followed his instruction, which was to focus the mind on pure being. I am, and stay in it. I used to sit for hours together with nothing but the I am in my mind. And soon, peace and joy and a deep, all-embracing love became my normal state. In it, all disappeared: myself, my guru, the life I lived, the world around me. Only peace remained, an unfathomable silence. Questioner. Let me go back. I think it's important that we hear this again. Nisargadatta said, talking about his guru, I simply followed his instruction, which was to focus the mind on pure being. I am, and stay in it. I used to sit for hours together with nothing but the I am in my mind, and soon peace and joy and a deep, all-embracing love became my normal state. In it, all disappeared: myself, my guru, the life I lived, the world around me. Only peace remained, an unfathomable silence. The questioner, well, it all looks very simple and easy, but it's just not so. Sometimes the wonderful state of joyful peace dawns on me, and I look and I wonder how easily it comes and how intimate it seems, how totally my own. Where was the need to strive so hard for a state so near at hand? This time, surely it has come to stay. Yet how soon it all dissolves and leaves me wondering, was it a taste of reality or another aberration? If it was reality, why did it go? Maybe some unique experience is needed to fix me for good in the new state. And until the crucial experience comes, this game of hide and seek must continue. Nisargadatta, your expectation of something unique and dramatic, of some wonderful explosion, is merely hindering and delaying your self-realization. You are not to expect an explosion, for the explosion has already happened at the moment when you were born, when you realized yourself as being, knowing, feeling. There is only one mistake you are making. You take the inner for the outer and the outer for the inner. What is in you, you take to be outside you. And what is outside, you take to be in you. The mind and feelings are external. The mind and feelings are external to the witness. You are the witness. That's who he's talking to. You are pure, non-conceptual awareness. That's who he's talking to.
No, I'm not.
The mind and feelings are external, but you take them to be intimate. You believe the world to be objective while it is entirely a projection of your psyche. That is the basic confusion, and no new explosion will set it right. Well, how am I to think myself out when my thoughts come and go as they like? Their endless chatter distracts and exhausts me. Nisargadatta. Watch your thoughts as you watch the street traffic. People come and go. You register without response. It may not be easy in the beginning, but with some practice, you will find that your mind can function on many levels at the same time, and you can be aware of them all. It is only when you have a vested interest in any particular level that your attention gets caught in it and you black out on the other levels. Even then, the work on the blacked out levels goes on outside the field of consciousness. Do not struggle with your memories and thoughts. Try only to include in your field of attention the other more important questions, like, who am I? How did I happen to be born? Whence this universe around me? What is real and what is momentary? No memory will persist if you lose interest in it. It is the emotional link that perpetuates the bondage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are always seeking pleasure, avoiding pain, always after happiness and peace. Don't you see that it is your very search for happiness that makes you feel miserable? Try the other way. Indifferent to pain and pleasure, neither asking nor refusing. Give all your attention to the level on which I am is timelessly present. Soon you will realize that peace and happiness are in your very nature, and it is only seeking them through some particular channels that disturbs. Avoid the disturbance, that's all. To seek, there is no need. You would not seek what you already have. You yourself are God, the supreme reality. To begin with, trust me. Trust the teacher. It enables you to make the first step. And then your trust is justified by your own experience. In every walk of life, initial trust is essential. Without it, little can be done. Every undertaking is an act of faith. Even your daily bread you eat on trust. By remembering what I told you, you will achieve everything. I'm telling you again, you are the all-pervading, all-transcending reality. Behave accordingly. Think, feel, and act in harmony with the whole. And the actual experience of what I say will dawn upon you in no time. No effort is needed. Have faith and act on it. Please see that I want nothing from you. It is in your own interest that I speak, because above all, you love yourself. You want yourself secure and happy. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't deny it. It is natural and good to love oneself. Only you should know what exactly do you love. It is not the body that you love. It is life, perceiving, feeling, thinking, doing, loving, striving, creating. All these ings, by the way, is without the me. There's no me in that. It is that life that you love, which is you, which is all. Realize it in its totality, beyond all divisions and limitations, and all your desires will merge in it. For the greater contains the smaller. Therefore find yourself, for in finding that you find all. Everybody is glad to be, but few know the fullness of it. You come to know by dwelling in your mind on I am, I know, I love, with the will of reaching the deepest meaning of those words. Well, can I think I am God? Don't identify yourself with an idea. If you mean by God the unknown, then merely say, I do not know what I am. If you know God as you know yourself, you need not say it. Best is the simple feeling, I am. Dwell on it patiently. Here, patience is wisdom. Don't think of failure. There can be no failure in this undertaking. My thoughts will not let me. Pay no attention. Do not fight them. Just do nothing about them. Let them be whatever they are. Your very fighting them gives them life. Just disregard. Look through. Remember to remember. Whatever happens, happens because I am. All reminds you that you are. Take full advantage of the fact that to experience, you must be. You need not stop thinking. Just cease being interested. It is disinterestedness that liberates. Don't hold on, that's all. The world is made of rings. The hooks are all yours. Make straight your hooks and nothing can hold you. Give up your addictions. There is nothing else to give up. Stop your routine of acquisitiveness, your habit of looking for results, and the freedom of the universe is yours. Be effortless. Oh, but life is an effort. There are so many things to do. What needs doing, do it. Don't resist. Your balance must be dynamic, based on doing just the right thing from moment to moment. Don't be a child unwilling to grow up. Stereotype gestures and postures will not help you. Rely entirely on your clarity of thought, purity of motive, and integrity of action. You cannot possibly go wrong. Go beyond and leave all behind. We're almost finished. I'm going to repeat this. Rely entirely on your clarity of thought, purity of motive, and integrity of action. But can anything be left for good? Nisargadatta, you want something like around-the-clock ecstasy. Ecstasies come and go necessarily, for the human mind cannot stand the tension for a long time. A prolonged ecstasy will burn out your brain unless it is extremely pure and subtle. In nature, nothing is at standstill. Everything pulsates, appears, and disappears. Heart, breath, digestion, sleep and waking, birth and death, everything comes and goes in waves. Rhythm, harmonious alternation of extremes is the rule. No use rebelling against the very pattern of life. If you seek the immutable, go beyond experience. When I say, remember I am all the time, I mean, come back to it repeatedly. No particular thought can be mind's natural state, only silence. Not the idea of silence, but silence itself. When the mind is in its natural state, it reverts to silence spontaneously after every experience, or rather, every experience happens against the background of silence. Now, what you have learned here becomes the seed. You may forget it, apparently, but it will live, and in due season sprout and grow and bring forth flowers and fruits. All will happen by itself. You need not do anything, only don't prevent it. Welcome your comments, your feelings on this, your thoughts.
Wow, there was so much in what he said. It was like just this full exposition on how to live freely, but there was just so many things in there.
What stands out?
Well, I was thinking right in the beginning when he says to sit quietly, sit quietly, and then you'll come to this profound peace. And from this point of view, it's hard to even imagine a peace of that depth and that magnitude. It's like, I was thinking, so the closest maybe one comes to it is if you have a terrible worry that's preoccupying you for days or weeks, and suddenly the worry is lifted, and that relief that you feel, the freedom that you feel, to no longer be in that pain, that freedom. But there are so many little things that preoccupy us. I mean, I've said this before, it's almost like, you know, when you go to have blood drawn and they stick the needle in your arm and you look over and you watch the blood run into that little flask. Well, if they only had a thing where they stick the needle into your arm and you look over and you see all your thoughts, all the me thoughts draining out, whether they're me thoughts about fear or desire, and you sit there, and as they empty out of you, you increasingly feel this depth of a peace and a calmness. You know, that's what he's saying. The depth of peace that one would experience, one would be if there weren't the preoccupation of all the distractions.
Yeah.
Well, that's the interesting thing, that thoughts come and go. And so if you allow thoughts to come and go, the problem with having like worry for a couple of days is because one is attached to the thought. And it's only a thought. That's the interesting thing. It's only a thought.
Right.
It may be true, may not be true.
Right.
So, you know, so when one allows thoughts to come and go, then one becomes the witness. So one is constantly reminded who one is.
Right.
because in that field, one is at peace. And I've discovered it's a peace that surpasses understanding. There's really, it's just a peace,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and everything else comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
And the great thing is that, you know, whether it be fear or worry, it's just a thought. So one can just drop it.
Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Or as he says, don't be so interested. Don't give it so much attention. Don't be so interested. So the thoughts come, but if you don't give them life, as he said, they'll go.
Exactly.
They may come right back, but again, you pull the plug on them and they go. So it's really interesting when you're watching these thoughts come and go endlessly. If you realize that you're not giving them life by dwelling, then they just leave.
Well, not only they leave, what do they leave? They leave you, who you really are.
Yes.
I am silence. That is the background.
Right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
It's funny. As
Yes.
I remember
Yeah.
asking this friend once who's a therapist, like, and I said, like, what do you think is our biggest impediment to like letting go of our stuff and our problems? And he said, well, as long as we still find them interesting, we and I didn't really understand it. I thought, well, that doesn't make sense, because we want to let stuff go. Like, why does it seems to be so hard? And so it's exactly what you were saying. If we find these things somehow still interesting,
Well,
or worthy of attention.
Well, yes, because we've identified with them. And that's
this is
our me. That's our me. And we're not
this is my
so
story.
right.
Yeah.
Right. What was done to me, what could be done to me. It's all centered around a me. And we're not that
So that's all identity. Yeah. Yeah.
We're not
developing-
interested in getting rid of the me.
It's developing an understanding too about the role that conditioning plays in those thoughts.
Right.
And getting an understanding of how that whole process works. You know, the mind, the brain, the thought, that whole mechanism, to me, it's really, really powerful when I got an understanding of it. Not that it helps me internalize it, it's still at an intellectual level, but I'd rather know about it than not know about it. And from there on in, and that's the platform that I take my stand, and I work from there. But to me, it's really helpful to understand how this thing happens. You have an experience, it's recorded in memory, and that's the source where the thoughts come from. And that's the source, the thoughts create the thinking about it. And as that happens, that thought thinking about it, the emotions arise.
Right.
So it is this fog, or it is this veil that's produced, but I'm producing it. And the I'm is the me.
Right.
And that kind of understanding, for me anyhow, I can't really explain it, but it sure makes living with me a hell of a lot easier than before I had that understanding.
Right.
Well, I had this experience once in New York. I had an apartment in New York, and I was sitting in a chair, and I was meditating, and all of a sudden I just like jump out of my chair to do something. And then I pull myself back, and then I'm sitting there meditating again. And all of a sudden I jump out of my chair to like get the phone to do something. And that's when I realized that everything that's happening to me, I'm actually creating it, you know, for excitement, for whatever. And then I kept on drawing myself back to the chair and realized, and then the other experience I had was, I had one time I took a shower, and all of a sudden I had the experience that I was attached to nothing. And then I realized that everything I'm attached to because it came back, the feeling that everything we're attached to makes us feel like almost like we're wearing a coat, that we're somehow secure. I think people find it a little difficult to be unattached because all the stuff that's happening makes you actually feel somehow secure, somehow alive, somehow grounded. It's kind of like when you lose the attachments, you get to feel a little bit, like ungrounded sometimes.
Yes.
But you're conditioned to be that way.
Yeah.
That's how you're brought up. You're brought up with the knowledge, this is my doll, or this is my toy. This is mine, that's yours. I want more. What am I going to get for Christmas? Oh, it's not enough. You ever see little kids at a Christmas tree? At the Christmas time, around a Christmas tree? I can remember that years ago when I was in the presence of it. It really struck me. There was, I don't know, innumerable presents under the tree. And at some point, and it didn't take long, the kids just started to rip those packages open, look at it, and then throw it aside. And the whole excitement was in ripping another package, not what was in it. And strangely, at some point, it almost looked like, maybe I'm just trying to spin a yarn here, but it almost looked like at some point after they were exhausted through that operation, they took great delight in playing with the boxes.
Yes. Yes. Well, in terms of attachment and being able to let go, the me needs situations to hook onto in order to grow and to sustain its center of being. So giving up an attachment really is giving up a hook that the me can hook into. And if we can see that, if we can see it as the workings of the me, I think it becomes easier in the moment to let go. Because fundamentally, all this is about the realization of the me and the letting go of it. Realizing how this me is working moment by moment in our everyday lives, and how we embellish it and keep it very strong and very close. So the watching, as he said here, watch your thoughts. Watch. It's in that watching, that observation, without an observer, just the watching, that begins to pull the plug on that strong me that has such a hold.
Evie, last night I was watching the news and I got more and more pulled in. But then at one point I was like, oh my God, and I have to get away from this. Turned it all off, and I just had to be quiet and just stay quiet. I did my own little Qigong practice that I do, but whatever would help me, I guess it was see from a distance, not even see. I wasn't even seeing at that point. I just needed to connect with a bigger, I don't know how to say it, truth, something.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was the best thing I could have done. I mean, really. I didn't even want to go back to it after that. And I didn't need to at that point. I had figured out enough at that point to let it be. But it was a good...
Well, yeah, that's right. You refuse to give it any more of your energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I could feel everything in me speeding up
That's right.
more and more. I was like, no.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Chipping away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. What do you think when he says, wait, where is it? Rely entirely on your clarity of thought, purity of motive, and integrity of action? What do you hear in that? What meaning? And can you see yourself in those words? Can you see the small s, the small self? And can you see the big with the big S?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Clarity of thought, purity of motive, purity of motive.
Well, when you're established in unity, you perform action spontaneously. So when you're established in unity, you're as close to the absolute as you can be. In Sanskrit, it's called Lesha Vidya, where in order to remain alive on the earth, you still need the ego, but you need a small remnant of it. So when you establish yourself in unity, and there's that small remnant of the me, you can experience that integrity and clarity and motive, because it's 99% the absolute that is acting. So when you're that, close to it, that is what acting, like he pointed out earlier. It's not the me, it's the absolute in motion.
Right. Mary?
No, I think Chip is here. Chip? Walter, are you here? So,
Chip?
Chip would always say to me, in every moment, choose ego or peace. In every moment, you can make that choice. And if he's here, I think he's here.
Well, I like that.
Looks like it. Oh, he's not.
Or his phone is here. He may have
say, we have that choice in every moment.
Mm-hmm. It's good, actually. Choose ego or peace.
Choose ego or peace.
Yeah.
Do we say we apparently have that choice?
He says we have that choice.
Or do we apparently have the choice?
I think we know we have that knowing right now. Apparently makes it a little vaguer, doesn't it?
Well, I think Nisargadatta was saying that we have the apparency of choice. So even though we think we have choice, we actually have an apparency of choice. So
or if we have a knowing, if we have a knowing, it's no longer a thinking or of mind. It's a knowing.
Yeah.
Knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Evie, what do you think?
When there's an insight into what's happening in that moment, when there's a pure insight, there's no longer choice. There's just what is, and there's spontaneous action that comes from clarity. Right. Pure clarity and compassion, and hence right action.
It's a little confusing because there's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
A little confusing because the word thought, by definition, thought is something from the past. It's not pure. It's something that's corrupted. It's something that's not necessarily true, and it's probably the thought it's been corrupted by your conditioning. So I'm not so sure that a thought is really going to get you to purity. what is, I think, going to get you to purity is when you have something happening that's beyond thought. There's no thinking involved. You can't think about purity. It just is. You can't think about it. Thinking about it is something that I don't understand how that can be. That purity of thought, and the way I understand it, happens when your ego is not, when that self is not. When the self is producing the thoughts. So if you want purity, in a sense, that purity comes when you can relax the thinking or somehow get out of the thinking, let your mind get quiet. And I think when the mind is quiet, you can approach and have whatever happens.
When, let me put it in a question. Can thought be a pointer to the absolute? And can thought be a pointer to the me?
Yes.
When thought is a pointer to the me, there cannot be clarity of thought. When thought is a pointer to the absolute, there's clarity.
But
there's insight.
I don't want to buy that. When you're thinking about something, you can't think purity. You think when thought directs you to the absolute, okay, but that's not going to get to you. That's not going to produce what the absolute is. The absolute doesn't come by thinking about it. You can point to it and you can say it exists, but that's all I'm saying.
Yes, of course, Ugo. We're just clarifying that that thought can be a pointer to the absolute.
Okay.
And it's when thought is the pointer to the me that it's that kind of thinking that it cannot be clear. It cannot be clear.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So I think it's important to differentiate. And yes, when we talk about an insight, we're talking about that which is beyond thought. It has nothing even to do with thought. It's that immediate insight where there's no me, no thought, just a seeing, a knowing. That inging that he was talking about, what life really is, that inging, right? So
I think of an insight as being more of a thought. And I know often Paul talks about disassociating with the thought. And if you can disidentify with it not being my thought and just being, I think that the ing is the thing. And that's the hard part, because we want to keep bringing it to me and evaluating, assessing. So.
Where's the inging?
Oh, all right. Paul just wants me to look at where he said about
Go back to the inging, right?
Yeah. Where is it?
Isn't it around here?
No, I don't think so. Oh, my dear, there was so much in here. I'm trying.
Disassociating is a very scary place to be. Disassociating is not detaching.
Oh, no. That's
I don't mean it in a critical way.
No.
I mean disidentifying.
Disidentify.
Not in a psychological way.
About life. I'm sorry. There's just so many. Okay, here we go. You're right, Put. Only you should know what exactly do you love. It's not the body that you love. It is life. Perceiving, feeling, thinking, doing, loving, striving, creating. It is that life you love, which is you, which is all. Right? So he's pointing you to the absolute.
The word that gives me a little trouble there is striving.
Where did you
Who
see
strives?
Oh. Okay, yes. Well,
And if I'm striving, aren't I striving to fulfill a desire?
Yeah.
And then I'm back. I'm back in the desire and fear box.
Who's
Yeah.
doing the striving?
Yeah.
Belaboring.
uh-huh.
Well, that which has no name, that which we are talking about that can't be articulated in language, has all these experiences. I mean, in the having manifested in the human body. So the all of it all is the absolute, the duality, the whole enchilada. So striving is an experience that that is happening. And now if it happened too much, striving, that's where you're having trouble, where you actually, are attached to the striving. But striving happens.
But there is no experience in the absolute. I mean, the absolute is beyond experience.
No, I'm talking about the absolute and duality, and the whole enchilada. The fact that what Nisargadatta seems to say is that who we are, okay, the beingness that we are being manifested in this physical body, that's where the striving takes place and the loving takes place. And isn't it fantastic? It's like that which has no name is actually living, a living being by virtue of our, physical brain and body and everything else. And striving happens.
I don't know. It sounds like
All
it's
right.
a little bit in contrast to this page before, where he's telling me to sit quietly and be in peace.
Okay, so but just a
But
minute.
don't you think that right now that we're sort of striving towards truth? And, I mean, is there a healthy striving? Like we're trying to understand, like there's a certain effort and
Yes.
that, like
Well,
a healthy effort.
yes. Well, remember, we've spoken in the past about the thinking mind and the working mind. And we said that the working mind is free of this me, but it's working. I mean, we're still at this level. We're still living at this level of reality, right? So there is the working mind, which reflects all these attributes, but they are not coming from a me. The thinking mind, which is the me thinking mind, has an investment in a result, in an outcome, which will expand this me. The working mind is just that. It's just doing. It's just acting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's acting, it's like from the Bhagavad Gita, when we were reading about the Bhagavad Gita, it's action reflecting that absolute. It's an action that gives, how's the word? It gives homage to the absolute. It's an acting that that's not from a self-centered me motive. It's a pure action. So can striving, that's the question, can striving towards something with the absolute in mind be different than that striving, which is coming from a me, from a result that the me needs and wants in order to feel safe and secure and expand itself?
I'm not buying it.
It's a little problem with that.
I
There's
think
a problem with that because
we needed
again,
a
it's the
little
desire.
editing here with the word striving.
It's the striving.
Maybe it was the translation.
Yeah, let's chalk it up to the translator.
Maybe.
Yeah, but
I think the translator was striving to have a perfect.
Yes.
we always say we don't want to be seekers. Seeking. We don't want to be seekers. We want to know. in this moment that we are that. If we're seeking, we're striving, it's no longer.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you are that. You
Could
don't
we
have to
replace
seek
it
it.
with like
You are
effort?
that.
The
You
word
are
Well,
that.
Yeah.
You're always
Right.
that.
Of course.
The thing is to try to get rid of all the stuff that makes you think you're not.
If we're
Well,
seeking,
this
That's the
week,
ego that
striving,
does
we're not
that.
there.
yeah. So this week, in our effort to be spontaneous beings, see if you can watch when striving interferes.
Maybe we could replace
Well,
the
can
word striving in there with effort.
No, we don't want effort.
No. Can
Right.
striving be part of creating?
Yeah, I think so. It's happening.
Striving.
It's
Can
happening.
that be part of creating?
I think striving.
not with a me.
If you're striving for some, I don't know. To
You're
me,
striving. You have an end goal. You have something that you're
Yes.
striving to become.
Look, how about
I
this?
You're in a
How,
state of
how about if
becoming.
you're in a race?
Stri-
If you're in a
You
race.
can't be
and
striving for nothing. You have to
Striving
strive for something. There has
how
to
about
be
if
a
God is
goal,
in a
a
race?
direction, an aim that you're striving for. And then the question becomes, what is the entity that wants to strive?
right.
And
Well,
if you get
if-
into that, then you know that you're back into that I again.
Well,
but
of
maybe
course.
God wants to have the experience.
I'm ready to get it explained to me.
Maybe God wants to have the experience. I mean, the thing is, I think Nisargadatta was saying it's not always ecstasy. It's not always I'm in it, I'm got it. You know, it's always a rock and roll. So who's
Oh.
you know? And so God, not what?
I think striving
Well-
contaminates creativity.
Well, wait a
If
minute.
you're in a creative mindset, I don't think you're striving.
I think we should define striving because if I'm
Yes.
in a race,
I don't know what striving means.
yeah, if I'm in a race and
Yeah.
I'm
I kind of like the word effort though, because,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, when you were talking, Eileen, about when you were meditating and you would jump up,
yeah.
but you brought yourself back down. That took some effort and discipline.
It was kind of like awareness. Like I jumped up and said, who's acting? It's like my small ego was acting. I had to start some kind of action. I had to get something going, you know, and that's what the realization had me sit down. It wasn't like very effortful. It was just like, wow, there was a realization. I'm sitting down.
Let me just finish. Let me just, oh, I'm sorry, Bernie, you want to say?
I was just going to say, for me, it's letting go. That when I let go of all the me, that's when you can really just be the observer. You know, it's like we're always, you know, trying to identify that piece. And like even in the chair, when you go back down and you sit, you're going back to meditating, you're letting go of running after yourself.
So let me finish reading just this. He says, only you should know what exactly do you love. It's not the body that you love, it's life, perceiving, feeling, thinking. It is that life you love, which is you, which is all. Realize it in its totality, beyond all divisions and limitations, and all your desires will merge in it. For the greater contains the smaller. The greater contains the smaller. Therefore, find yourself. For in finding that, you find all. Well, so is he then, let me look at it again. Is he saying then that that's life, that's what we do, the perceiving, the feeling, the thinking, the doing, the loving, the striving, the creating. But realize it, he says, beyond all divisions and limitations. The divisions and limitations are the me. So realize all this beyond this me. And all your desires will merge in it. For the greater contains the smaller. Find yourself then in the ah. Therefore, find yourself in the smaller, for in finding that you find all. So is it possible then? All right, let's play it your way, Paulie. Let's read it the way Paul sees it. If there's an awareness of this thinking, doing, loving, striving, creating, if there's an awareness that all this is going on, the awareness is already stepping out of the me that is doing all this. If we're able to see that,
To witness that.
is that not the beginning of finding yourself, your true self, beyond limitations and divisions?
Yes.
I think that may be a better explanation then, because you see, when we've read Jean Klein and many others, when they speak of the inging, it's usually means without a me. There's just the inging,
Yes.
right? Just the. So he's phrasing it a little differently. I think maybe this may make more sense then and help you with that striving, thinking, Ugo, which you have objection to. And maybe then the realization, the awareness, the witnessing, when these things are going on, when they appear, to see them as appearances, to see them as the me appearing.
Mm-hmm.
And then to let it go.
Striving is happening.
Then that's what's happening at that moment.
Yeah.
At that moment. And how important it really is to be in that moment, right? Because no matter what we're doing, we're never not now.
Just being aware of who you are.
Right. Well,
Okay.
so
That was very nice. Thank you.
thank you all for
It was
coming.
great.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Very
See you
nice.
next
Thank
week.
you.
And
Yeah,
thank you for sharing
Have a
with
great
us.
week.
Have a good week.
Have a good,
Thank you.
safe, healthy week.
You too.
Buonasera tutti, buonasera.
Oh, buonasera.
And if striving happens,
Ciao, Bella.
don't be attached.
That's right, Eileen.
Mob,
That's right.
observe the mob,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
don't dive into it.
But-
Right.
Observe the mob, but don't become part of it.
And even when you're observing effort.
Effort.
Okay, guys.
Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.